Right. So there is a show, like I remember speaking the other day about that. Personally, for me, I prefer to understand why my enemies are my enemies, right? I think that's an important thing because that gives you enough power and control over, how you react and how you can handle a particular situation based on the properties of the attributes of the enemy or whatever. And I think that also, you know, it's important, when you deal with these attributes. There's this story, a film I watched before about a kid that was, for lack of better words, retarded, right? And he had some friends, and basically they had a gun, and a bunch of stuff happened, and then basically I believe they were standing on a roof with a police officer, right? And then the police officer was asking for the gun, and for lack of a better word, the retarded kid had the gun, and basically his friends shouted, "Let him have it," right? And so the guy, the kid, the mentally challenged, he shot the police officer, right? So since he shot the police officer, there was obviously a case in court to say like his friends were edging him on to tell him to shoot the guy, but then technically speaking, his friends weren't edging him on because what they were saying, or well, at least the argument was that they were saying, give him the gun, right? So when you take that into consideration, right? And then the people that become your enemies or the people that seek to be your enemies, right? You got to ask yourself in the same vein, like, was he guilty or was he not guilty? You know, like, are these people, for lack of a better term, retarded, right? Because if they are, then they're disadvantaged, right? Similar to the guy with the mental issues, right? Because that had to be taken in consideration in the case and the judgment. So we have to take this into consideration also, right? When making our evaluation in terms of how we deal and treat an enemy, because sometimes an enemy might just be immature, right? A lack of experience, a lack of conceptual understanding, because you can have power in one regard, but you lack other attributes that you need. Now, if you have a strong team, then cool. But if you don't have a strong team, it becomes a bit more difficult for one individual to have all those things unless they've, you know, gone through a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of things needed, right? But that's